This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to week number 7 in the National Football League lockdown coverage. Your man Louie Tee covering the league like a blanket. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New England Patriots. This game had a lot of build-up, a lot of hype, but of course, the injury to Ben Roethlisberger makes this game a lot less juicy. And we pretty much knew what the outcome was going to be. Now, I will give the Pittsburgh Steelers credit. They hung in tough with Landry Jones at quarterback. But we all knew what was going to happen before it happened. We'll break this game down quickly and move on. But before we do that, welcome to the Louie Tee Network. If this is your first time here, welcome and subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. I'm also on Twitter at In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me there. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms right up there in the screen above, flashing. So if you forget what the YouTube page is, it's right there. If you forget the Twitter or the Facebook, again, they're right there. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and like those separate pages. So let's go into this breakdown quickly and break this game down. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. We're going to start with the road team, the New England Patriots, in this game. First half likes. You get the interception by Malcolm Butler, so you give up the fumble on the first offensive snap, essentially, in this game for the Patriots. And Chris Hogan never sees Jarvis Landry coming, forces the fumble, recovers it. Steelers move it down the field. They look like they're going to get something out of this turnover, and they turn it back over themselves. Landry Jones being a little bit greedy, going after Malcolm Butler. He's in great position, tries to force it to Antonio Brown. It is picked off, so you squander an opportunity there. A big play by that Patriots defense. And then the defense in general was also on my likes list. Here's a situation where you know who you're going up against, Landry Jones, not the guy that you were geared up to go against when the schedule was released. And hell, even 2 weeks ago, you thought you were going up against Ben Roethlisberger in this game. To get here and have it be Landry Jones could have been a little bit of a letdown. You could have saw this Patriots team come out and be overconfident and allow the Steelers to move the football up and down the field, get into the end zone, and really make this a tough game. But instead, defense came out and did what they had to do. Look, the Steelers did move the football. They still have talented football players, but make no mistake about it, the defense did what they needed to do in this game. They got the job done in the first half, limiting the Steelers to just 10 points. Now, granted, the Steelers missed a field goal, but again, they did what they had to do. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be effective, and that's what it was in the first half. You go to the Steelers in their first half likes. Jarvis Jones with the forced fumble and the recovery on that opening possession. Great play by him to strip Chris Hogan of the football. If you're the Steelers, that's exactly the start you're looking for. I actually didn't agree with Mike Tomlin and taking the football first. I get the idea and the premise behind it, which is, hey, look, we don't want Brady to get it first, demoralize our team by driving the football 75 yards in 11 plays and getting a touchdown and putting us behind and on our heels right out of the box and right out the gate. How about we get the football first? How about we create some momentum for our football team? That didn't happen, but that was the thought process, so I understand it, but I don't like it because, again, you don't want to have the Patriots get the football after the half and you be trailing, and then they go down and they score, and next thing you know, you're down even more so in the game. But that was my thought process. But to get the football back after going and having to punt yourself, that's a big play by Jarvis Jones. Too bad the offense couldn't cash in and turn that into some points. You go to the first half dislikes, and it's the fumble by Chris Hogan for the Patriots. Look, they didn't do much wrong in that first half. The offense wasn't as sharp. They weren't going out and destroying a decimated Steelers football team. I didn't realize the Steelers had so many players out in this game. No D'Angelo Williams, no Wheaton, no Ben Roethlisberger, no Cameron Hayward. I didn't realize they were that banged up. But in any event, their left tackle, I believe, was out as well. It doesn't matter. Still got to go out and get it done. Everybody's got injuries. You just got to find a way to overcome them. The fumble by Chris Hogan was the only dislike for the Patriots in this football game. You go to or in the first half. You go to the Steelers in their first half dislikes is the interception by Landry Jones. You get a gift from your defense. You got to make sure you get something out. Even if it's only a field goal, you got to make sure you get something out of that possession. You cannot throw an interception there, and he did. And then you miss a field goal. Chris Boswell has been pretty consistent for you this season. Got a chip shot field goal. Need you to bang that home. He misses that field goal. Would later get a field goal before the half to make it 14-10, but it could have been 14-13. You're talking about a different ball game then. And even when you get to the end of the game, Steelers down by 2 scores, down by 11, 27-16. He knocks home one of those field goals, that field goal early in the first half. Now you're talking about a different ball game. You're only down 8 late early in the game. You hate to play those types of what-ifs games, but again, got to make your field goal, especially that one. We can understand the miss later on in the game from 58. That's a long field goal, 54. That's a long field goal, 54 yards. This one here was a chip shot. Got to make it, and he didn't. You go to the likes in the go back to the second half, or excuse me, go to the second half. We go back to the Patriots. We go back to the likes, and it's LeGarrette Blount. And I'll go ahead and throw Gronk in here as well. Both of those guys were phenomenal in the second half of this game. And I think they go hand in hand with one another. When one is effective, the other is going to be that much more effective. And really, it's vice versa in this situation. If Gronk is going, it's going to open up some avenues because then you start splitting him out. You start doing some creative things with him. It's going to make a lighter box for the running game, and then LeGarrette Blount gets a chance to eat. And in this particular case, LeGarrette Blount was going to work on this Steelers defense in the second half particularly. And so because he was running so effectively, now the play action fake is open and available. And now Gronk is running free through the secondary. And the Steelers always struggle with Gronk. I can remember last year coming off of their Super Bowl win, the Patriots were able to destroy them first game of the season with Gronk. I mean, Gronk was wide open the entire game. And so this is another one of those instances where the run game works, Gronk starts to get loose, and they just don't have an answer for him. And that was the case in this game. I thought both Gronk and Blount were both big contributors in the second half on some long scoring drives by the Patriots to put this Steelers team out of their misery in this game. You also can just throw the defense in there. I thought the defense was great in not allowing points. And this has always been a staple of a Bill Belichick coach defense, Matt Patricia and company. You can have all the yards you want, but once you cross midfield, once you cross the 30, once you get into the red zone, things start to tighten up. Then the Patriots start to restrict you. And a lot of times you'll see teams have to settle for field goals. And in this case, a lot of field goals having to be settled for by the Steelers in this game, and a lot of punts. We get past midfield, you get into that territory in no man's land where you could go for it or have to punt. Steelers weren't able to convert in this game. And you know the mantra, you know the motto, field goals don't win games, touchdowns do. Steelers weren't able to score touchdowns on this day. Patriots were. That's why they won this football game. You go to the Steelers' second half likes, hanging tough. With Landry Jones at quarterback, with no D'Angelo Williams, with no Marcus Wheaton, without your left tackle, things can get pretty dicey pretty quickly. And they hung in there. They hung in with a bunch of no-names. Darius Hayward-Bay played way too often because he had to. Antonio Brown went down with an injury. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Kobe Hamilton stepped in, gave you some quality snaps in this game. I'm hearing too much of Xavier Grimble. It's just too many guys out there that you're relying on that you shouldn't have to. And they hung in. And that's a testament to this Steelers football team, their organization, and the way that they're built. A lesser team would have been blown out in this game. They stood up and gave the New England Patriots a run. Kobe Hamilton, I just talked about him, just referenced him. He's also on my likes list. Thought he came out and he played well. For a guy that doesn't get a lot of snaps, that you're not looking to have to rely on, I thought he made some really good plays in the second half. Gave this Steelers team a chance with some of the plays that he was making. But again, you're overmatched when Kobe Hamilton is on the field, Darius Hayward-Bay on the field constantly. You're overmatched if these are guys that you're relying on to get the job done. And the fumble recovery by Greg Warren, your long snapper, on a punt return in the fourth quarter that could potentially given the Steelers a little bit of life. Patriots quickly shut that down, however, forced the long field goal attempt. And that was basically all she wrote there when the Steelers weren't able to convert off of the fumble recovery. You go to the dislikes in the second half. Back to the Patriots we go. Gronkowski misses an extra point. I've been having some conversations with some Patriots fans, and I talked about the lack of pass rush by the Patriots. I talked about some of the issues that I have with this Patriots football team. The defense isn't going to overwhelm anyone, but the biggest concern from a lot of Patriots fans is the kicking game. And Stephen Gostkowski, a guy that has been pretty much consistently good for them across the board, is starting to struggle. He's starting to miss kicks, extra points, field goals. And we're talking about 33-yard extra points. And he's missing them consistently. This is the second week in a row he missed an extra point. And he's missed at least 3 this season. He's missed a couple of field goals. There's some concern here. This guy isn't what he used to be. And in a game where, it could have came down to the wire, he just missed another extra point. That's something that needs to start being considered in New England. Is it time to start auditioning new kickers? I'm just saying, I've got my eye on Stephen Gostkowski. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I think there are some guys inside that building that are starting to question whether he's the guy for the job or not. Edelman with the fumble on the punt return, I already referenced it. Just a little sloppy with the handles. It can happen from time to time, and it didn't hurt them as most of the turnovers on the day didn't. The defense stood up, and I talked about how good the defense was in this game, finding a way to keep the Steelers from making impactful plays off of these turnovers. And they were able to force the long 54-yard field goal off of the fumble, and it was a miss. So no harm, no foul there after the Edelman fumble. And the Steelers' second half dislikes settling for field goals. Too many opportunities to get in the end zone in this game, and then having to just settle for field goals. That's a losing recipe in this league, especially when you're playing against one of the league's best. You got to find a way to get in the end zone. Allowing long touchdown drives. The Patriots had touchdown drives of 84 and 83 in the first half and 75 and 75 in the second half. You just can't allow them to have these long distance drives to beat you. You had drives in this game. They made you kick field goals. You needed to return the favor. You simply didn't do that in this game. You allowed them to get down the field, and when they did, you allowed them into the end zone. Missed 54-yard field goal. You were asking a lot from Boswell. He had the distance. He just didn't have the accuracy. But a lot of those times with these kickers, when they kick really long field goals, they give it everything they've got in terms of leg, but they throw the accuracy out the window. That was one of those cases where he was just looking to kick it as hard as he could and hoped he'd kick it straight enough. He didn't. It was a miss. And Antonio Brown goes down with an injury, and it was funny. I almost felt like I jinxed him a bit because I was saying to myself, man, what a luxury Antonio Brown is. The man is always at the top of his game. He never gets injured. He's always available. And the minute I said that, it seemed like he was reaching for his ankle, and he wasn't the same the rest of the game. So that was unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a severe ankle sprain. But again, you know how these ankle sprains are. You sprain your ankle, they tape it up, you go back out there, the adrenaline is flowing. Once he sits down, the blood starts to settle, the ankle swells. That will tell a different story tomorrow. So we'll find out how severe it is. But good thing that the Steelers are on a bye week now, so he'll have time to rest up, and he should be ready to go for the Ravens after the bye. So no banana in the tailpipes here. I didn't think it was an overly dominant performance by the Patriots. Brady wasn't, exceptional. He was just Brady. 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He didn't throw it a ton. He didn't have to. They ran the football so effectively in this game they didn't need to. So there really is no banana in the tailpipe. I think we got what we were expecting from both of these teams in this game. I actually thought that the Steelers performed a little bit better than I thought they would. They kept it relatively close. I thought that they would get blown out in this game, but it didn't happen that way. And so they hung in tough, but they just didn't have enough. Didn't have enough bullets in the gun. Let's check your comments quickly and get out of here. Captain Spartan 04 says, geez, we need Ladarius Green. I don't think he would have made that much of a difference in this game, but it would have been nice to have another target out there for sure. Sean Mack says, typing with a broken hand, FYI. Big Ben is healthy. This is a totally different game. I felt the same way watching it. I just said there's no reason for me to bring that up because we all know that. That's stating the obvious. And I hope your hand is better, man. That looks pretty bad. I mean, that picture that you tweeted out looked pretty bad. But in any event, I felt the same way. But there's no reason of harping on it because he didn't play and he isn't healthy. And we all knew that, that it would be a different game. There's no reason to keep bringing that up. Eagle Speed is a nerd says if Ben played and he had Julio Jones on the other side of Antonio Brown while the Pats had Randy Moss, there you go with another one of these crazy hypotheticals. I don't know what the score would be, man. I have no idea what the score would be in that game. Ofo, my man Ofo says, Pats allowed 12.5 points the last 5 games. It doesn't look dominant on TV, but it means something on paper. Points is the name of the game. You can have all the yards you want. If you're not getting in the end zone, you're not going to win a bunch of games in this league. And that's what it matters. The points are what matters most. And you're right. It doesn't look dominant on television. It doesn't have to. As long as on the scoreboard, it tells the story, and it does week in, week out with this Patriots team. Now, I will say this. You've run through the worst division in football, in my mind, the AFC North, and that's why the totals have been down. Cleveland not going to score a bunch of points. The Cincinnati Bengals not going to score a ton of points. And the Steelers team without Ben Roethlisberger not going to score a ton of points. So while it's impressive, you're doing it against competition that I don't think is going to run up the scoreboard. So we'll see if this, because I still have my doubts about this defense. You know how I feel about this defense, Ofo. We've talked already in the past. So you know how I feel about this defense. I think it's a bend but don't break defense, but I think they have the capability of breaking. I just don't know if they've got that killer instinct, that dog in them with the game on the line necessarily. And so we'll see. Izzy Ackerlin says, how do you think the Minnesota Vikings will recover from their first lost season? They'll be fine. Everybody's going to lose. No one thought, maybe some delusional Vikings fans thought they were going to go 16-0. Nobody thought they were going to go 16-0 this year. And I told you earlier in the week on Louie Tee Live on Wednesday that I thought they could lose this game. I said, and I've been saying it all week, this was a distinct possibility that the Eagles, this league is so crazy. Eagles lose last week. Eagles lost the week before that. But the Eagles have beaten the Steelers, and they've now beaten the Vikings at home. This Vikings team coming off a bye. When you come off a bye, sometimes it takes you a while to get into a rhythm and a flow. I hate early season byes because you're playing great football, and then you got to go sit down. The Eagles were 3-0, come off the bye, lose 2 straight. Vikings were on a roll, playing the best football of the season, and they go on a bye, and now they come off the bye and they lose. It happens all the time in this league. It's a week-to-week league. I tell you that every week. And you saw it. I think this was probably the most wacky week of all. A lot of different games that could have went either way. A lot of teams pulling games out at the end. Captain Spartan 04 says, love how everyone's going to blame Landry Jones, Boswell, and our offensive line. Seriously, all we needed was an explosive player, Ladarius Green, cough, cough. I don't think he would have made that big of a difference. You've been talking up Ladarius Green quite a bit. I just don't think he would have came in and been the difference maker in this game. I really don't. Landry Jones didn't play that bad, but he didn't play great either. And that first interception that he threw, when you needed to get points, that's a huge play. It sets the tone for the game, and you can't throw an interception there, and he did. And those are the types of plays that are going to see you lose in this league. And, they're going to blame Landry Jones, and rightfully so. They're going to blame Boswell, and rightfully so. They're going to blame your offensive line. I wouldn't put it as much on them. Le'Veon Bell, to me, ran the football effectively because the line blocked, and I thought that the time that Landry Jones was afforded in this game was enough for him to survey the field and make throws. So I wouldn't blame the offensive line. Sean Mack says, do you believe in this preview of the AFC? I thought that's what it was going to be, to be honest with you. I thought that this was what it was going to be before Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. Now that he's gotten hurt, hard for me to say because I felt like the Patriots needed to, or the Steelers needed to win this game in order to potentially secure home field advantage down the road. Now you lose this game, you have no leverage over the Patriots. So if this game is in Foxborough, let's say these two teams happen to make it to the AFC Championship game, you have no leverage over them. If this game's in Foxborough, you don't stand a chance if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Captain Spartan 4 says, really hate that Cody Hamilton has Heath's number. You know how that goes sometimes. There's not enough jersey numbers to go around. Maybe eventually he'll get in the Ring of Fame, but I don't think they're ever going to retire his number in Pittsburgh. Let's see. Sean McKenzie says, can you say that same thing about Antonio Brown when Pittsburgh plays my Brown? We can use all the help we can get, bro. We all could, man. It's all good. It's all good. Sean Mack says the AFC North has been the toughest division 4 out of 5 years straight. We were due for a bad year. Yeah, it's gonna happen, man. Everybody has a down year, man. Every division is gonna have a down year, and this is their down year. It's okay. I mean, the Steelers are leading this division at 4-3. Okay, if you look around the league, I'd like to think that 4-3 might be tied for the worst division lead of any team around the league. This division is on hard times right now, and they're getting beat by everybody. Every team that's playing that division, every other division that's playing the AFC North, they're mopping up the AFC North. The North is getting fat off of each other, and so we'll see how this division shakes out if they get their act together. But right now, that division is struggling. Captain Spartan 04 says, I already told Sean this, but if we had Ben, it would have been different. We would have been more flexible. Ben would have had more interceptions against this Patriots defense. I don't know if I agree with that. Ben would have had more interceptions against this Patriots. I don't know if I agree with that. There were opportunities for this Patriots defense to be exploited in this game, and Landry Jones just couldn't get it done. You know what I mean? So if Ben's in there, I think the Patriots win this game. But I'm not here to talk about that because he wasn't in the game. He didn't play. He wasn't healthy enough, and they didn't win the game. Patriots got it done again, and that's why this was so disappointing because I really wanted to see how good the Patriots were. This was a litmus test for me because they're not going to play many teams that you're going to be able to say, look, this is a team that could legitimately contend, and I want to see how the Patriots do against them. Their division isn't good, and they're going to mop up their division like they always do. And because they have to play the AFC North, they've already ran that division, and they just got the Ravens left. They're going to beat them too. So it's hard to really gauge how good this team is. They got Seattle coming up. They've already played Arizona, so they're not going to have many more tests. This was one of the last few tests that they're going to have. The Broncos, we don't really trust them with their quarterback situation the way it is. So this was one of the last few tests that we were going to get. And now that Ben didn't play, we didn't really get to see what we were looking for. So Patriots get it done 27-16. I thought it was a good performance. It wasn't dominant, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to be enough to win, especially with Ben not in the lineup. And they get the job done, go to 6-1. Patriots find a way to get it done. Meanwhile, the Steelers lose this football game going into their bye at 4-3. I think the bye came at a perfect time. They were so banged up. They need to get bodies back. Antonio Brown injures himself in this game. He needs to rest up. And who knows, Ben may be able to come back after the bye when this Pittsburgh Steelers team will be taking on the Ravens. We'll see. But in any event, Steelers fall to the New England Patriots, 27-16. Patriots extend the lead in the division with the Bills losing. Big win for the Patriots to put a little distance between them and everyone else in the AFC East. It's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I'll be right back. I'm going to turn around, flip this thing on its head, and break down Jets and Ravens. I was going to do it at halftime. Why not do it now? I feel like doing it now. So I'm going to do it now. I'll see you in, give me 5 minutes.